Good morning, sir.
Morning,
Good morning,
Mr.
sir.
Untuk linknya dikasih di mana ya, Mister?
Excuse me, uh, yang ikut day one aja atau day two juga ya? Yang temanku bingung.
Yang day one aja, day two-nya besok.
All right. Good afternoon, honorable judges and esteemed participants. Welcome to Zoomy Talkies Day 1. So, Zoomy Talkies, for those of you that don't know, is one of the competitions hosted and coordinated by the Bahasa family to celebrate Eksbusa.
So actually, we have two judges here, Mr. Johannes and Miss Putri, but they cannot even join us because of some reasons.
All right, so without further ado, let's begin the first session of day 1. Those of you who are not in the first session, we ask you to please leave the Zoom meeting. We'll call on you shortly before your session begins. Now, for the first session, has everybody that's not the first session already left? We're about to start the first session, okay? All right then. So, for this first session, our first participant here is going to be Rylan Justice Tejo Kumolo from 11th Social 3. The Zoom is yours whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you, Africa. Now I'm going to start mine. But firstly, I'm going to say good afternoon, my fellow friends. Today, I'm going to start my speech by asking you guys a question. Now, who doesn't like fine dining or just fashion, music, and box office movies or blockbuster movies? And finally, easy living. You guys like it, right? I know I love it, and I know you guys will love it as well. Now, those entertainments, sadly, we got from outside our country. But now, as we can see, those countries are going to be loved and going to be the pinnacle conversation between all of the regions in the world. Now, why is that? The country that are going to be the pinnacle of conversation by all the regions is because their fame of the country can inject the products and make the product nicer. And as we can see, if we go to France, we can see made in France. We will actually be proud of that. Now, there are some countries that we know are really nice. There are first Italy, France, Spain, US, Korea. Those are the countries that has the most cultural influences in the world. Now, as you guys know, the so-called globalization is actually not a threat, nor is it actually scary. It's actually a path that are building us toward a fruitful and beautiful life, and also a really modern life. But as we know it, we have to filter everything that got in, and we need to always think about what we are going to use and what we are going to talk about. Now, I know what's wondering, what you guys are wondering. How do we still love each other, and how do we still remember the substantial ones? It's actually going to take a wise individual to do that. But it's actually our duty as the generation now. I know you guys like to listen to music and just like to chill with music, but those music, as I can get an example as K-pop. Now, K-pop has a custom design, challenging choreography, and modern sound system. Any song has that kind of things, but that is as an only example. Those music, which has the challenging choreography, custom designs, and modernized sound system, will actually dominate a teenager's attention and everyone's attention as we know it. But something sad is about this one, because as we know it, our songs, as I can get an example, is Rasa Sayange. It's actually one of the songs that we have and we own and we love. But sadly, our neighboring country nearly took it, and I think you know which country is that, and I'm sure of that. And it's actually our duty to preserve what we cannot create, and we need to pass down the culture and to keep it strong. But how do we enjoy foreign culture that is irresistible and still stick to our own culture or have a flair of our own culture? There is actually a professor that states where there is a global dexterity, which is a condition which we have to adapt our behavior with a collaboration within two, which is our local and our foreign. And then that professor is Andy Malinsky. He is a professor from Brandeis International Business School, and he talks about that kind of stuff. And he explains that global dexterity is a condition that we have to adapt. Now, that is going to be really hard because firstly, we have to think about the appropriateness about the new culture we have. And it takes a lot of training to do that because it's going to be really challenging to create a new behavior, which is a combination between two. And those cultures will inevitably be our daily life because of globalization as we know it. And as you guys know it, it's actually quite bad if we don't filter it. As we know, there are riots everywhere if we don't filter out things. As we know, there are hoaxes everywhere that create riots, and that's quite bad. Now, as we know it, there is a use of technology that is going to be good and that is going to be bad. But we're just going to take the good ones because we're going to be... I'm sorry. So sorry.
That's okay. You still have time. Just keep it going.
No, I'm not sure.
That's okay. Take a break. Just to take a breath. Calm.
Yeah.
You still have time.
Yeah. Okay, so as we know, there is the use of technology nowadays, which is going to be good and bad, because without technology, we can't achieve the things we got now. We don't have phones, we don't have laptops, and we don't have drawing tablets as we use now. We actually will enrich our knowledge as well with technology. As we know, we have Google. We can browse at anything we want. Like, what are the symptoms of the new pandemic we have here? And it's actually going to be a good and a bad, because it's going to be a double-edged dagger, technology and globalization. Because if we don't filter out the good things, we're going to have the bad things as well. Now, the good things we can see. We can contact our parents and just say, "Hey, mom, I'm going to be late for something," or just, "I'm going to be late for dinner." And we can also maintain our friendship within this country and the country outside, because I have friends from other countries as well, but because of globalization technology, we can chat. Now, we use technology also to a lot of things, as we know it. As you can see, we are on a Zoom call right now, because that's what technology is going to be. It's going to be helping us, always helping us. And now, it's going to be challenging to know which is good and which is bad, because now everything around us is actually going to be good and bad. As we know, there are pornography out there, and there are also good things, and there are sex educations to know about that, and some of those are actually going to be good, because as we know it, we can learn and we can improve. And all right, this is my speech. Sorry if it's not as nice as I thought it would be, and it's not going to be as good. And God bless you guys.
Well, that was a wonderful speech from Rylan. So, moving forward, we have our next participant, Abraham Cristanto from 11 Science 1. The Zoom is yours whenever you are ready.
Before I start my speech, I'd like to say thank you to the committee who helped make this event happen, and good morning to everybody. Gadgets. Gadgets are probably the most best innovation we've had, and the world would agree with me. We've all had our first gadgets. Mine was a really old Nokia phone with a pen. I got that when I was at least 5 years old, but now I see 3-year-olds playing games on their parents' phone or on their own phone, which is crazy to see, at least to me. Young kids who do play games have this certain personality, and we've all had that encounter with a young child like that, or as we like to call them, bota ep. And those are one of the most stubborn kids we've ever met. I actually met one recently. I was in a Discord server with my friends, and somebody invited this random kid to the server. Then the kid just started to run his mouth, saying inappropriate things, and really a lot of disturbing stuff. So because of that, we ended up kicking him from the server. Giving gadgets to little kids is a good thing, but it's a bad thing as well, because children wouldn't know how the internet would work and how its community would react to certain things. So they could say anything on the internet and think they won't face any consequences or repercussions. But those statements could affect the person or the community seeing those statements in a way where they could get offended or really get mad to the point where that child could get kicked off the internet because of a comment. But with children being on the internet, they can learn a lot of things like new words, new slang, a new insight on something, or maybe even a whole new language. It depends on which part of the internet they're on. Give a little kid a game console or a phone that has games, for example. They won't have a problem playing it, but the people playing with him or her might have. Because children might not be able to control their emotions, and things might get out of control till the point where that child might try to badmouth other people around him or her. And the other reason, we could all agree that children who do play games at a very young age, or as we like to call them, bota ep, could get really annoying or make us really ticked off. But there are some children who just don't run their mouths and say outlandish things and actually are really friendly. My point is, Giving children gadgets is okay. Honestly, it's good to give something advanced to a child and see that child know how to use it. It means that him or her is able to do things that we wouldn't expect a child to do, which is good. But restrictions are there for a reason. We've all had them. We all have them, and children have them too. They just don't realize it because they're young. We've all been a bota ep before, so let's try not to develop more. Thank you.
Well, that was an awesome speech from Abraham Grisanto. Astounding. I found that very enlightening. Thank you. So continuing, we have our next participant, Maximiliano Felix Gunawan Pandalo from Class 10 Science 1. The Zoom is yours whenever you're ready.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon, my teachers and my friends. How are you, everyone? I hope everything is fine. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Maximilian Felix, and today I'm gonna speak about preserving local culture amid COVID-19 pandemic. So, Indonesia has many local cultures which called local art. Indonesia is rich of local culture art which consists by many tribes with their own culture. The culture must be conserved, and government often holds great performance of folk songs, festival traditional dances, exhibition of Indonesia traditional instrument and music, and the other. And you know why? The reason why the authority of Indonesia persuades the regions to hold many activities and do creative events is actually to conserve our culture to face global culture during COVID-19 pandemic. And during COVID-19 pandemic, many artists stopped totally. They stopped totally their activities, and the schedules what they have made are cancelled because of this. So, what should we do? Sleeping, eating, playing games, and don't care? Must we give up doing nothing? Of course not, right? Of course not. Look, there's many ways to explore, to create, to make something new, to be creative. Many ways. And in digital era now, we cannot be passive and not to do out of box things. There's alternative ways like following or creating webinar of art, online traveling, hold competition of art with many variants, and then vlog about traditional dances and the other virtual programs. We must keep our fighting spirit to conserve our culture. And then I persuade the young boy who conserve our culture are more than other culture. And I believe we can blend this new normal concept of living with conserving our Indonesian culture. So let's pray and hope this pandemic will go away. That's my speech. May I can encourage all of my friends to be creative, be excited, and optimistic. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. See you next time. Mantap, bro.
Thank you. Thank you, Felix, for that splendid speech. Well, it seems that the first session has come to an end. We also like to thank you, the participants, for joining, and we wish you good luck. And thank you for joining Zoomies Talkies.
Okay, so for you all contestants, you can leave this meeting. Thank you very much for joining.
Good luck.
Ya, Mister.
Halo, Mister.
Lancar Pak, ada suaranya Pak.
Saya nggak bisa buka. Saya nggak
Saya
bisa
yang buka. Saya yang buka soalnya.
Kita selesai jam 2. Jadi sebenarnya itu rencananya tuh karena kita nggak tahu ya Mister kalau juri nggak bisa masuk. Jadi kami pikir itu bakal masih ada komentar dari juri. Jadi kami pasangnya setengah jam. Mister, oke?
All right, welcome to the second session of Zoomy Talkies Day 1. Now, we will begin this session with Catherine from Class 11, Science 2. The Zoom is yours whenever you're ready.
Good morning, judges, committees, and friends. My name is Catherine Sanjaya, but my friends usually call me Chaling, and I'm from 11 Science 2, number 10. I'm pleased to be here today, and I would like to share my thoughts regarding on how to respond to foreign cultures. But before that, I'm glad that we're able to be here today, even though it's not face-to-face, because we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. But I do hope that everyone's healthy right now. Cultures, as one may say, as the arts and other manifestation of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively, is aimed deep within us as Indonesians because of our nation's diversity of cultures. There are two kinds of culture, local culture and foreign culture. Local cultures, as we may know, are the ones our ancestors have passed on to us from one generation to another, that has always been aimed into our daily life. But that's not the case with foreign cultures. They do not originate from our country. These cultures were introduced to us from contact with people from outside our country that has very different cultures. But in this modern age, do we grow up with local cultures and then introduced into foreign ones, or rather, we grew up with a fusion of both? Have these originally foreign cultures become part of our local culture? In my case, then yes. I grew up in a thick Chinese cultured family because my grandparents were immigrants that moved here from mainland China. But I grew up in a Japanese cultured environment right in the middle of Java. So, which is my local culture and which is foreign? For me, those lines that separated them are quite blurry, and I, and probably most kids right now, grew up in an environment that has both foreign and local cultures mixed as one. Is that bad? Well, personally, I would say that that's what makes me more open-minded and more adaptable to change. But are the ones we thought as local cultures are all actually local? Or were they actually foreign cultures that has adapted and became local culture? For example, the Japanese word of train is actually adapted from a Holland's word, as well as the Japanese engagement ceremony is actually adapted from the Chinese's traditional engagement ceremony. And there are many more examples out there, but I do know that many people seem to not know that these traditions were once a foreign culture. Now you're probably gonna ask me, like, as the younger generation, what should we do? What can we do? Well, for me to answer, it would take me to one of the nights where my mother actually gave me a quote. She said, every generation should be better than the prior one. For the younger generation would have more knowledge than the prior, because they not only have knowledge from the prior generation, but also from the outside world. But not all knowledge is good. You should learn to only take the good and leave the bad. And in that moment, it hit me what she was trying to teach me. She taught me on how to look at stuff in life, on how to see things in a different perspective. Take the good and leave the bad ones. Simple words, yet very useful and very meaningful. And I think that's how we should face these changes around us. My point is that dealing with these foreign culture influences that only increases day by day is for us to filter them. We can learn from these cultures and take the ones that will make us grow, yet leave the bad ones out. And as I'm saying this, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we should forget our local cultures. Of course, we shouldn't forget our local cultures, but we shouldn't be ignorant about foreign cultures. And I believe by cherishing our local cultures while also embracing foreign cultures without forgetting our roots, I think we could make Indonesia a better place. Well, this has been a pleasant meeting, and I do hope that each and every one of us could learn to cherish both local and foreign cultures as a part of ourselves. Not only that, but I do hope that my message here could reach you and perhaps help you not only on this matter alone, but also in another aspect of your life. Thank you for listening to my speech. I'm Jialing and I wish you all a good day.
Well, that was a wonderful speech from Catherine or Xialing. So, moving forward, we have our next participant, Michael from 12 Science 1.
Yes, and that would be me. So, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Michael. I'm from 12th Science, Class 1, Absent 22. And today, I'm going to talk about the impact of using gadgets on Indonesian children and their language. So, as every single one of us knows, globalization has spread its effects throughout the whole world. We see many changes in people's lifestyles, in our lifestyles, be it how we work, how we learn, how we play, and even how we talk. We all know that every kind of change, big or small in scale, has to have a catalyst, as in a reason for said change to happen. One of the biggest catalysts in this process are the leaps that scientists have made in the communication and technology industry. And by that, I mean gadget development. As of the last decades, gadgets have transformed from just wireless phones that can send short messages via keypad presses to full-on touchscreen blocks that can play video games, access the internet, take videos up to 1080p, and so many more features that people of the past can only say is magic. So then, how does this seemingly magical piece of technology affect the modern generation's language skills? Let's just say that the internet is the backbone of everything I'm going to talk about down the line. For now, let's look back on how children and teenagers used to study books. Traditional textbooks are designed to explain about one topic per chapter, and each book has their own subject. This means, back when children read books to learn, they would read a chapter at a time until they finished said book, and then they'd move on to another book. Compare that to how modern children learn through the internet via their gadgets. There's so much content, be it articles, videos, and or animations that revolves on a single topic. The fact that this much data can be instantly accessed means that children can learn just about anything they want, whenever they want. While the traditional teaching method of going by the books and listening to your teachers focuses more on, focus, especially on your books and or your teacher, modern children has a more free and wayward or aimless style of learning, which makes them lose attention easily. A research conducted by Dr. Karina Linnell of University of London's Department of Psychology has proven that children that mostly learned through the internet scored worse on attention span tests compared to children that learned through the traditional method of going by the books. So how does that fact translate to modern children's, especially Indonesian children's, language learning capabilities? Well, as far as my personal research on the matter shows, their language comprehension skills, especially in English, Japanese, Korean, and their native tongue, Indonesian, albeit on Indonesian short language or slang, as we call it, had increased by a considerable amount, although not to the point that they're fully fluent in speaking foreign languages. And by that I mean their grammar, sentence structure, and word pronunciation still aren't perfect by a long shot. As for their native language skills, it doesn't really improve much on anything else, save for their vocabulary. My research on this matter also shows that the main media that children and teenagers used to learn from are video sharing platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and trauma streaming services like Netflix and other free but might or might not be illegal streaming sites. Yeah. An interesting detail I noticed during my short research is that children and teenagers has a difficult time focusing on reading love sentences and pronouncing certain words within certain shorter sentences. Ironically, learning short language in their mother tongue, Indonesian, decreases their common word vocabulary. Examples of such words are mengidentifikasi, koalisi, jurisprudensi, and other semi-complicated words. While this doesn't rule out the possibility of them having dyslexia, this can be seen as a trade-off, abandoning certain basic language skills to better communicate with peers. An interesting take on the human adaptation capabilities, to be sure, but I'm not here to open that can of worms. So, my final thoughts. The modern learning method through use of gadgets and the internet access might have its fair share of flaws. But if we were to adopt its usage into traditional learning, we can teach just about anything, be it language, foreign or native, science, social studies, to our nation's future leaders, although it is still a long way coming. But with enough cooperation from students, teachers, and the Ministry of Education, and of course, testing, I'm sure one of these days it can be perfectly implemented in the curriculum. That is all from me. Thank you for listening to my speech. Apologies if perchance I offended anyone at all, or any technical difficulties happened. Good day. And thank you.
So thank you, Michael, for the speech. Now we're moving on Arvin Wijaya from 12 Social Tree. The Zoom is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, judges and friends. First, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Arvin Wijaya, as a representative from grade 12 of Social Class 3. And in here, I want to give a speech about the third topic, which is preserving local culture amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's get started. If we talk about local culture, it must be something related to a country or something signature or something special about the country. As Indonesian, local culture is the most important things that need to know in this present day, especially for Indonesian youngsters. Most of Indonesian youngsters only praise foreign culture, or especially Western culture, I think, and didn't get to know of their own local culture. This pandemic has made social life and economic life in Indonesia change in some field of job, especially art and tourism. Due to this pandemic, so many artists that mastered in local culture got the impact of it, even its negative impact or positive impact. For a long time, there's so many tourists come to Indonesia because of Indonesian culture. The example is Belinis traditional dance called kecap that really famous. Meanwhile, the number of visitors come to Indonesia from another country being limited. The shows or the theaters of local culture in Indonesia not going well, and that makes the income of local culture artists fell down. On the other side, workers in local culture fields are people that not able in financial problem. And there is a problem of this case. The performers of local culture in Indonesia mostly are senior, and most of them didn't recognize the evolution of online technology. By March 2020, most cultural institutions across the world were closed. Until this day, there is 100 art exhibition and performances postponed, and they still not find a solution. For me, I thought online can be the solution for preserve the local culture in this pandemic. Firstly, Indonesian handcrafted art can be sold or export to the rest of the world. Like the example is batik or whipping bamboo in Indonesia called anyaman, and vice versa. That things can be promoted by online shop, kind of eBay, Amazon, and something like that. Actually, from online advertising, it can be more easier to all of people get information about Indonesian culture. Because in this present day, people get used to using internet almost every day. Secondly, for a big company local culture, institutes that usually held a show in big theaters are really hard to get the audience back. Take my cousin as an example. He is a student of LaSalle College of the Arts, Singapore, and enrolled in music major. And this year, the student from there held an annual concert for Indonesian students called Gelar Budaya. But because of this pandemic, they make it online, and people who want to watch it must buy the ticket by online. The audience got them some kind of streaming media, and it works. Approximately, there is a 500 audience that watch the show. Not until that, what I was when I was grade 11, I used to have a show with my classmates, but the school canceled it because the COVID-19, and my art teachers had another way to present it. She told us to record a dance video and publish it on Instagram. That was a brilliant idea and the most easiest way. Not until that, I think Indonesian youngsters can take my example as their way to present their own local culture. They can upload a video to YouTube, and it can be more easier because they do not need to interact with the audience indirectly. In conclusion, online can be the best method to preserving local culture in this pandemic, and it can help our local culture artists, especially in Indonesia. Thank you for listening my speech, and I'm sorry if there's any mistake when I'm speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvin, for that splendid speech. Well, it seems that the second session has come to an end. We would have a 15-minute break, and we would also like to thank you, the participants, for joining, and we wish you good luck. Thank you for joining Zoomy Talkies.
So we'll start the third session at 1:30 until 2 p.m.
So we get a 30-minute break.
That actually 13-minute break.
Also, sorry for spacing out. I didn't mean to space out. I'm so sorry.
It's still recorded.
Oh, it is. Oh my god.
It's live. It's live. It's live. Oh no.
But yeah, I'm sorry for spacing out earlier. Recording. Wait, no. Okay, never mind. I'm just not gonna talk. Sorry. Sorry, anyways.
What? Do you want to confess something?
Is this still on live stream? No, I don't want to confess anything. Unless it's not on live stream. Is it still on live stream? I thought it was a break.